It's 6:33 p.m. Today is Monday, March 17th. This is a regular meeting of the Montgomery Selectboard. We are now recording, and we will kick it off. So, as always, any changes to the agenda, any additions or deletions to the agenda? All right, hearing no additions or deletions to the agenda, we'll move to board organization. So this is the standard kind of slate of actions following town meeting every year. Want to welcome Dan to the board. Welcome.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, condolences, all
Oh,
of that.
yeah.
First up is everybody should have already signed their oath. Dan and I are the only kind of new oaths. I've signed mine with Liz, you've signed yours, so okay. For members who are still carrying forward seats they've been elected to, your oaths still carry. So all of us have signed the oath, so we're all official. Item B under here is election of officers. So the board typically elects a chair, a vice chair, and then a secretary. The secretary is responsible for keeping minutes. The chair puts the agendas together and runs the meeting, and the vice chair is there to step in and run the meetings in the absence of the chair. So we will open up nominations for officers. Are there any nominations for chair?
I will nominate Charlie Hancock.
Thanks, Leanne. Are there any other nominations for chair? Okay, if there's no other nominations for chair, we'll close nominations. All those in favor of Charlie Hancock serving as chair of the select board for the next year, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, you've elected Charlie Hancock as your chair. Vice chair, are there any nominations for vice chair of the board?
Is that, I don't have that on here.
So it's not, we don't have these individual seats listed on the agenda, it's just under election of officers.
Oh, got it.
Yeah. So the next up would be vice chair. Do we have a nomination for vice chair?
I would nominate Leanne Barnard.
We have a nomination for Leanne. Do you accept the nomination?
I'm just going to say that in the summertime, I'm not going to be around a lot.
Okay,
Where's Mark?
it's okay.
I'll nominate Mark Briette.
I think with road commissioner,
It's probably too hard for him.
yeah, I also don't know. I'd have to look at conflicting offices.
Oh, right.
I'm not sure this is one, but that might be one. So, are there any other nominations for vice chair? All right, well, hearing no other nominations, we'll close nominations. All those in favor of Leanne Barnard serving as vice chair of the board, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? All right, congratulations, you've elected Leanne, the vice chair of the board for the ensuing year. Lastly, we have secretary. Are there any nominations for board secretary for the ensuing year?
I'll nominate Suzanne Dola.
We have a nomination for Suzanne. You accept the nomination? Thanks, Suzanne. Are there any other nominations? Mark. All right, hearing no other nominations, we will close nominations for secretary. All those in favor of Suzanne serving as secretary for the ensuing year, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, we've elected Suzanne secretary for the ensuing year.
I have a question as secretary.
I have a question, Charlie. Wasn't Mark, didn't I hear Mark nominated for vice chair?
I think that was withdrawn. I think Leanne withdrew it. You are correct that
Yeah.
Leanne did say that, but then she withdrew it because of conflicting offices.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just for note keeping in this sort of circumstance, so in my Does it matter, do I have, like, it's 4-0 votes up until right now, because Mark just showed up, then do I just shift it to 5-0, or do I have to make a notation, like, Mark arrives at?
Yeah, generally,
6:30?
yeah, you can generally just make a notation, so-and-so arrived at this time,
Okay.
or so-and-so departed the meeting at that time.
Gotcha.
And then the votes should
Reflect that.
reflect the numbers.
Okay.
And again, just so everyone knows, like, minutes, the main things of the minutes are who was there, topics discussed, and actions taken. Those are kind of the nuts and bolts of what are required. We do try to provide some additional context in the minutes around discussions and things like that, but the main things are who was there, what were the topics discussed, was it something acted on, and what was the outcome of the action. And of course, all our meetings are recorded, and so folks can go back and listen or watch the entire dialogue. Next up, under board organization, is designated a regular meeting schedule and newspaper of record, as well as posting locations. So currently, our meeting schedule is the first and third Monday of every month at 6:30 p.m. The newspaper of record is the St. Albans Messenger, and the posting locations are the bulletin board out here, the bulletin board at the village post office, and the bulletin board at the
News stewards?
Stewards. Sorry. Yeah, I almost said Jolly. So those are the posting locations. We also post the agendas online, but we still are required to have 3 physical posting
Did you
locations.
say post office, PSB, and Jolly?
Yep. Those are the 3 locations for posting of notices. Those are not set in stone, so if the board wants to change it, this would be the time to change it. So entertain a motion to set the schedule, paper of record, and posting locations.
I'd make a motion to maintain them as is.
Okay, we have a motion from Suzanne to maintain the meeting schedule, paper of record, and posting locations as they currently exist. So again, that's the first and third Monday of the month at 6:30, the St. Albans Messenger, and posting hard copies at the Public Safety Building, the Village Post Office, and the Jolly. Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks. We'll give that to Leanne. Any further discussion? Hearing no other discussion, we'll vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye, raising your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Item D, internal board procedures and open meeting laws. So as far as board procedures go, the only one that's kind of, I guess, that I was going to mention was just in terms of agendas. So the agendas typically get sent to Liz for posting the Friday morning before the next Monday's select board meeting. So typically I will try to put those together Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening. So if folks want something on the agenda, if you can, please get it to me no later than Thursday night. Typically what I do is make any final tweaks Friday morning and then shoot it to Liz. So anybody is welcome to request an item to be added to the agenda. I can't recall a time that we haven't done that. So by all means, it's a collaborative effort when it can be. Again, if folks have items they would like on the agenda, please get them to me by Thursday night so I can get the final agenda and everything to Liz Friday morning. As far as Vermont open meeting laws go, folks are encouraged to look at the nuts and bolts of those online. There are specific statutes that govern this. There's also a manual, if folks recall, the Selectmen's or Select Board Handbook. There's a hard copy in the office. Digital copies are also available online through VLCT. So folks are encouraged to kind of, as a refresher, read through it, or if it's your first time cracking it, feel free to peruse it. One of the main things in there is Vermont's open meeting law. And so as a body, if we meet, we need to have the meeting warned publicly, stating where it's going to be, when it's going to be, and those items that are going to be up for discussion or action. Regular meetings are warned 48 hours in advance at least. Special meetings are warned 24 hours in advance. And we can have emergency meetings, which take place when they are called. We just need to have the minutes of those posted, I believe, within 24 hours. We try to avoid special or emergency meetings, although I think the last emergency meeting we had was related to the Snowshoe's liquor license expiring, so, you know, we also try to do what we can for our local businesses. But as far as open meeting law goes, when any public body meets, again, it needs to be warned, agenda posted, location, topics for discussion or action. There's 5 members on this board. A quorum is 3 members. So anytime that 3 or more members are together, that needs to be a warned meeting. If, say, for example, Suzanne, Daniel, and I roll up to trash day on a Saturday and we all happen to be there at the same time, that's not the end of the world. We don't have to, like, you know, play 50 feet from each other. We live in a small town. We acknowledge that happens. But business before the board and those kinds of things can't be discussed in those settings. So just being cognizant of kind of, you know, what we're talking about with each other and where and when. If 2 members get together to discuss something related to town business, that is okay. A quorum is not present, so it's when a quorum is present that the meeting needs to be warned with the what, the where, and the what's going to be acted upon. There are specific provisions where the board can go into executive meeting. The most typical one that we use for that here is around conversations that have to do with contracts or employment of municipal staff. The idea being that those conversations, if held in public, could put someone at a competitive disadvantage. So things about contracts, those kinds of things. There are specific instances where we can go into executive session if the board decides to go into executive session at any time. The process there is that a board member moves to go into executive session, cites what part of statute they are qualifying the executive session under. The board would then vote. If the board moves into executive session, the room's cleared, the recording is stopped, the board discusses whatever it needs to discuss, then the board would move to come out of executive session and move forward with the meeting. So that's the process for executive sessions. We do try to avoid those as much as possible. I'll pause now if there's no objection. Tosca?
I just had a question on executive session. If you take action in an executive session, do you have to make that motion outside of executive session when you come back? Is
Yeah.
that how that works?
Yes, the only thing there that that has not happened is if it's part of a contract negotiation where the board has said, okay, we're gonna offer Timothy $37 an hour,
Right.
and that's what's going in the contract. We typically don't come out of executive session and vote on that because it has to do with a contract negotiation that we are then going to that individual for, and because employees' salaries are public record and no one can find them and they're published in the book, that then becomes public record. And they're rolled into the budget, so technically they're voted on by the town anyway at town meeting. So that's the only instance where, in my however many years up here, that we have not.
Right.
But to your broader point, yes. So if we were to discuss, say, do we want to adopt the contract with Acme Inc. for our next delivery of TNT, right? Like, we could debate it, but then we have to come out of executive session to then adopt the contract or sign the
I
contract.
just wanted to
Yep,
know.
no, thank you, it's a good clarification. So again, a lot of this is in the select board handbook. Again, copy in the office, copy online. If anybody does try to access it through VLCT and they hit a paywall or something, let me know and I can get you into their system. So that's it for D. Item E here, review established areas of responsibility. So this has generally been kind of a, you know, if you're into it and you have the time that you can put into something, feel free to make it yours. So, you know, recognizing that all of us up here are really busy, we're all doing a bunch of stuff. So some of us have greater capacity than others, different time allowances than others to do certain things. But if there is something that somebody is interested in, that is a project or something before the board or something in town, and they want that to be their bailiwick, by all means, we can designate somebody the point person on a project, empower them to do certain activities up to a point. So for example, representing the board in a certain situation. But it's essentially kind of a raise your hand and take it and run with it. So we typically don't, what's the right word? Apply, we don't like dictate areas of responsibility other than the officers. So it really is a case of if it's something that you're interested in doing and you want to do it, just bring it to a board meeting and we'll discuss it, and then if it sounds good, we'll give you the green light and empower you to act on the board's behalf in that capacity. Lastly here, conflict of interest policy. So everybody has a hard copy of this in front of you. I know that a fair amount of us up here have seen this before. It's been a while. This was last amended in 2018. It is a policy that the board has adopted, so we are all subject to this policy. What I was hoping is that you've all got another hard copy right now. Even if you've read it before, but it's been a while, take this back with you, give it another read, and then if we want, we can come back at the next meeting and reaffirm a commitment to it, or do something more formally if we want. Again, it's an adopted policy, so we all operate under that policy in our own actions. And I will say that, you know, it's Vermont, it's Montgomery, it's a small state, it's a small town. There's a joke, you know, if you're not a conflict of interest, you're not trying hard enough or something like that in Vermont, because everybody knows everybody's connected somehow. So I think what we've tried to do in the past is to say these things will come up. The hope is that folks will preemptively identify where potential conflicts lie, and using their own personal responsibility, recuse themselves from discussions or voting on matters where there could be a conflict of interest. So for example, Leanne has recused herself from conversations or discussions or voting around issues that have to do with the wastewater system because of the the potential for a conflict with the property that Abe owns. Dan, you serve on the library board, so the library tends to be kind of this independent entity, a little bit separate but part of the town. And so there could very well be instances where you'd have to kind of proactively, you know, make it clear what position you're speaking from, or recuse yourself from an action depending on what's going on. So again, we don't typically police this. It's something that we leave individual board members to acknowledge and make clear when and if they see something that could be a conflict of interest. If there's no objection, yeah?
Okay, Leanne's done wonderful since we all brought this up. And I told her I didn't blame her. But now Daniel's on, he's a conflict of interest. Besides the library, he has a property, his mother's got properties. I'm not being a bitch about this, but he does have a conflict of interest, because he will be going on the wastewater.
Yeah, so that's where I think we're drawing a little bit too long of a line. I mean, we are the water commission. Leanne's on the water system.
Yeah, I know, but it's
But,
still
you know,
a
like,
conflict of interest.
But it's a difference between, in this case, the concern was made that there is an investment property with a significant project where they could stand to financially benefit a lot. Having an existing structure hooked up to a system, I think that we're kind of reaching a little bit there in terms of.
I'm just bringing this up
Yeah.
because people are gonna wonder, okay? Because his mother's got the business, he's got a couple of properties. I'm just nipping this in the butt now.
I understand it. No, I think it's a fair question to raise. I guess, Daniel, I'd say if you feel that it is something that you have a conflict with and you want to recuse yourself, by all means, I won't stop you. No one here will. But again, I would say I would leave that to you.
I'd like to familiarize myself with the policy first. So this is the first I'm getting
I
hands on
just
it.
wanted to bring
Yeah.
it up.
No, I appreciate
I mean,
it. Absolutely.
congratulations for getting this, but I've been doing it for a year now. I've been getting all this stuff, all this information.
Sure.
And she don't live with her son, but she's still, this is still a part, and now you, I know you have a property right down the road from me. And it's almost over, I know this, hopefully, I'm hoping, but I just wanted to throw that out there, not, instead of letting it blow out to be something worse than it, you know,
Yep,
Appreciate that.
understood.
just trying to,
Yep.
yeah.
Appreciate it.
So that's kind of the board organization in a nutshell. Again, we do this every March after town meeting. Anybody have any questions or clarifications on items A through F? All right, if not, we will move on to the review and approval of the minutes of the March 3rd regular meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the March 3rd regular meeting? I believe they were all of 42 words long.
I'll make that motion.
Thanks, Mark. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thanks, Leanne. Any discussion on the March 3rd meeting minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes as written, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I'll abstain.
We have one abstention from Dan. And the motion
What are
carries.
extensions? I want to know this, what are extensions?
Abstention is not
Abstention.
voting.
Okay,
Yep.
I wasn't at the meeting, so it'd be silly for me to vote on the minutes.
I always ask that, you, whenever you say that, I'm like,
Yep.
what's he talking about?
Yeah, an abstention is not a yes or a no. It is a recusal from voting.
Understood.
All right, next up, item 4, appointments. It's that wonderful time of the year. So, there should have been a copy of this attached to the warning for the meeting. If folks have the table, we will start, just as a reminder, the first block here are all elected positions before we get to Water Commission. That's where the appointments start. So we have 2 appointments to the Water Commission. The first is a 3-year term, Charlie Hancock, term expiring. The second is a 2-year term, Emily Kimball, term expiring. Are there any nominations for the Water Commission?
I would nominate Charlie Hancock and Daniel Kahn.
Thanks,
Daniel,
Leanne.
is it Kahn or Can? Can, sorry.
All good.
And Leanne, do you just want to clarify that we have 1 3-year term and 1
Yep.
2-year term?
So I would say you for the 3-year and Daniel for the 2.
So we have a nomination for Charlie Hancock for the 3-year term on the Water Commission and a nomination for Daniel Kahn for the 2-year term on the Water Commission. Are there any other nominations?
And this is presumably Emily is not interested in staying on the Water Commission.
No, she is
Okay.
not. Hearing no other nominations, we'll close nominations. All those in favor of Charlie Hancock serving a 3-year term on the Water Commission and Daniel Kahn serving a 2-year term on the Water Commission, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next up, we have 3 DRB, Development Review Board seats, as well as 1 alternate seat. These are all 4-year terms. Mary Garceau, Barry Cade, John Kurlowski, term expiring, and then Charles Snydercore has the alternate seat. His term is also expiring.
It's like Barry Cage too.
Yeah, so Barry, John, Mary, Barry, John, Mary, Barry. Give me some cake. Mary, Barry, John, and Charles. All seats expiring, and I have spoken with Parma, and all these individuals do wish to continue on the DRB if reappointed.
It was Mary Garceau, is her last name?
Yep.
Right, and then Barry Kay, John Kulowski, and
Charles Snydercore currently has the alternate seat, 4-year term expiring 2025.
okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So,
I'll
are
make
there-
a motion to appoint, that's late, Mary Garceau and Barry Kay, John Kurlowski, and Charles Snedeker.
Okay,
To the CRB.
Well, it's a nomination, not an appointment.
Nominate.
Yeah, and just as a reminder, nominations
Nominate.
don't need a second.
Okay.
So we've got a nomination from Mark to reappoint Mary, Barry, John, and Charles to their seats. Are there any other nominations? Hearing no other nominations, we'll close nominations. All those in favor of reappointing Mary Garceau, Barry Cade, John Kurlowski, and Charles Snydercore to the DRB, with Charles serving as the alternate for a 4-year term, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, you've reappointed the slate. Next up is agent to convey real estate. This is 1-year term, Barry Cade, term expiring. Are there any nominations for the agent to convey real estate?
Nominate Barry Cade.
We have a nomination for Barry Cade. Are there any other nominations? Hearing no other nominations, we'll close nominations. All those in favor of Barry Cade serving as the agent to convey real estate for a 1-year term, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? You've reappointed Barry Cade. Next is the Budget Committee. These are all 1-year terms right now. The Budget Committee consists of Leanne Barnard, Mark Briette, Aaron Walsh, and Charlie Hancock. We have 1 vacant seat.
Aaron Cope.
Aaron Kopax.
Yeah, although Aaron is now going by Walsh.
Oh, she is, okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
Okay.
just so
Okay.
we know. So,
Yeah, that's perfect.
are there any nominations to the Budget Committee?
And Mark, Aaron, Charlie. Wait, am I looking at the right one?
Yep.
Oh. Okay.
well, I would nominate the 4 people who are on it. Plus, Daniel, do you have time to do that when Budget Committee rolls around?
I'd rather not.
Okay.
At least this go around.
Suzanne, do you have time to do that?
Not really.
Okay.
Is Catherine, is that a conflict if Kat Barnard is on?
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Yeah, we did look at
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
That is the
That was-
conflict.
that
I
is-
was just looking through those.
Yeah.
yeah.
If there's no,
I would do it.
you want to do it?
Sure.
Cool.
Okay.
All right. Do you want to add that to your motion? Add that to
All
your
right,
nomination?
so we'll add Tosca Smith for the vacant seat.
Okay, so we have a nomination from Leanne for Leanne Barnard, Mark Briette, Tosca Smith, Aaron Walsh, and Charlie Hancock for a 1-year term on the Budget Committee. Are there any other nominations? Hearing no other nominations, we'll close nominations. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any objections? Motion carries. I'm sorry, any abstentions? Hearing none, the nomination carries. And just to make it clear too, all Budget Committee meetings are warned meetings that are open to the public, so anybody's welcome to attend. And it is an advisory role, so the board does end up adopting the budget to present to the electorate. Next up, we've got Director of Disaster and Emergency Management and Deputy Disaster and Emergency Management. These are 1-year terms. Currently, the director is Greg Lucas. The deputy director is Doug Kopax.
Director of,
Director of Disaster and Emergency Management, and then Deputy Director of Disaster and Emergency Management. 1-year terms, Greg Lucas and Doug Kopax expiring.
So I'll nominate Greg Lucas and Doug Kopaz.
We have a nomination for Greg Lucas and Doug Kopax. Are there any other nominations? Hearing no other nominations, we'll close nominations. All those in favor of Greg Lucas serving a 1-year term as director and Doug Kopax serving a 1-year term as deputy, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? And you have reappointed Greg and Doug. Next up is fence viewers. These are 3 1-year terms typically held by the listers. Are there any nominations for fence viewers?
I'll nominate the listers.
We have a nomination for the listers.
3 1-year terms.
Yep.
Not a 3-year term.
3 1-year terms. Any other nominations for fence viewers? Hearing no other nominations, we'll close nominations. All those in favor of the listers serving a 1-year term as the fence viewers? Sorry.
What is fence view?
Please signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We have fence viewers. Next up is Northwest Regional Planning Rep. This is a 3-year term. Mark and Leanne, term expiring. Do we have any nominations for Northwest Regional Planning
Is it-
Representative?
This is another one-year term?
This is a 3-year term. This is Northwest Regional Planning Representative. Mark and Leanne, terms expiring. Any nominations for Northwest Regional Planning Representative?
I'll nominate Mark and Leanne for Northwest Regional Planning Representatives.
We have a nomination for Mark and Leanne. Are there any other nominations? Hearing no other nominations, we'll close nominations. All those in favor of Mark and Leanne serving as the representatives to the Northwest Regional Planning Association, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? And you have reappointed Mark and Leanne. Animal Control Officer, this is a 1-year term. Linda Kluba, term expiring. Are there any nominations for Animal Control Officer?
Does she still want that?
Yeah,
Okay.
I nominate Linda Kluba.
We have a nomination for Linda Kluba. Are there any other nominations? Hearing no other nominations, we'll close nominations. All those in favor of Linda Kluba serving a 1-year term as Animal Control Officer, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? And you have reappointed Linda Kluba as Animal Control Officer. Next up is Transportation Advisory Representative and the Transportation Advisory Alternate. This is a 1-year term. Mark Briette and Scott Ovitt, terms expiring. Are there any nominations for Transportation Advisory Rep and Alternate?
I would nominate Mark Briette and Scott Ovitt.
We have a nomination for Mark Briette and Scott Ovitt. Are there any other nominations? Hearing no other nominations, we'll close nominations. All those in favor of Mark Briette serving as the Transportation Advisory Representative and Scott Ovitt serving as the Transportation Advisory Alternate, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, we've reappointed Mark and Scott. Next up is the Recreation Board. There's 3 seats here that are terms expiring. These are 3-year terms. Journey Johnston, Tiffany Jones, and Brendan O'Shea. Again, these are 3-year terms. I have reached out to the Rec Board and they have confirmed that Journey, Tiffany, and Brendan are all interested in being reappointed to the board, should we do so. Are there any nominations for the Rec Board?
I would nominate Journey Johnston, Tiffany Jones, and Brendan O'Shea for the Rec Board.
Okay, we have a nomination for Journey, Tiffany, and Brendan. Are there any other nominations? Hearing no other nominations, all those in favor of appointing Journey Johnston, Tiffany Jones, and Brendan O'Shea each to a 3-year term on the Recreation Board, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We've reappointed Journey, Tiffany, and Brendan. Next up is Missisquoi River Basin Association Wild and Scenic Representative. These are 1-year terms. Currently, one is vacant, the other one is held by Cynthia Scott. Are there any nominations for the MRBA Wild and Scenic Representative?
I'll nominate Cynthia Scott.
We have a nomination for Cynthia Scott. Are there any other nominations?
That's right. She's Lindsay, right? Lindsay, right? No, because she's
She is
you
staff,
matter. Yeah, she's staff.
and she is staff,
Alright,
so
never
she
mind.
would not be.
Yeah, she couldn't be. Was this a 1-year term?
Yes,
Mhm.
yep. All right, if we're not hearing any other nominations, we can hold the vacancy for now until we find somebody and move forward the nomination of Cynthia Scott. Hearing no other nominations, we'll close nominations. All those in favor of Cynthia Scott serving a 1-year term on the MRBA as our MRBA Wild and Scenic Representative, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We're gonna pass over the Consolidated Union District Representative. I believe we have someone interested in that. They are just gonna do a little bit more homework with that body to make sure that that is something they wanna do. So we will carry that forward to our next meeting if there's no objection. Next up, we have the Community Garden Board. These are 7 seats, 2 of which are currently vacant. Currently, the seats are held by Remy Creton, Wendy Howard, Genevieve Liddell Guild, Parma Jewett, and Hannah Sorensen. Are there any nominations to the Community Garden Board?
I'll nominate Ramey Grattan, Wendy Howard, Genevieve Guild, Parma Jewett, and Hannah Sorensen.
We have a nomination for Remy, Wendy, Genevieve, and Parma, and Hannah. Are there any other nominations?
This is how many seats is that? 6?
There's 7 seats and we have 5 nominations. 2 are still vacant. Hearing no other nominations for the Community Garden Board, we'll close nominations. All those in favor of appointing Remy, Wendy, Genevieve, Parma, and Hannah to a 1-year term, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? You've reappointed Remy, Wendy, Genevieve, Parma, and Hannah. There are still 2 vacant seats on that board, so if folks find anybody that is interested in serving, we can certainly appoint them to the board. Next up is the Conservation Commission. We have 3 seats there that are expiring. These are 4-year terms. The seats expiring are Marielle Ambrosch, Kip Potter, and Patrick Kalikas. Are there any nominations for the Conservation Commission?
Do they all want to remain?
Yes, I should have said that. I have spoken with Patrick, who is currently the chair, and Marielle, Kip, and Patrick are all interested in continuing on the commission.
Okay.
What's her last name?
I would nominate Marielle and Kip and Patrick to remain on the Conservation Commission.
Great, so we have a nomination for Marielle, Kip, and Patrick to each get reappointed to a 4-year term. Are there any other nominations? Hearing no other nominations, we'll close nominations. All those in favor of Marielle, Kip, and Patrick being reappointed for another 4-year term on the Conservation Commission, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? You've reappointed Patrick, Marielle, and Kip. Next up is the Town Hall Committee. There are currently 3 seats up and 1 vacancy. So the 3 seats that are up are 2-year terms. Abe Barnard, Nicole Woodworth, and Claudia Stauber are all up. We also have a vacant seat that is a 3-year term. Are there any nominations for the Town Hall Committee? And I will say that, and Tosca's here, but Abe, Nicole, and Claudia are all interested in continuing.
Yeah.
Are there any nominations for the Town Hall Committee?
I'll nominate Abe, Nicole, and Claudia.
We have a nomination for Abe, Nicole, and Claudia. Just to confirm, those are for 2-year terms, Mark?
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any other nominations for the Town Hall Committee?
Did you know anybody else that?
Who's vacant?
Brad resigned,
Okay.
Oh, he did.
so, we are throwing out nets kind of is, at our
Oh,
next
okay.
meeting.
Okay.
people
We'll get
come
these.
back.
We can certainly keep that
Yeah,
open
keep
for
that
now.
open.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'd like to stick with us recommending, so.
All right. Any other nominations for Town Hall Committee? Hearing no other nominations, we'll close nominations. All those in favor of reappointing Abe, Nicole, and Claudia to a 2-year term on the Town Hall Committee, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? And you've reappointed Abe, Nicole, and Claudia.
Wait, Leanne, were you the one who nominated the Community Garden Board?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry.
Okay, sorry, I missed
That's
that.
okay.
I just realized.
Next up, we have Town Newsletter Editor. This is a 1-year term. Suzanne Delois, term expiring.
I nominate Suzanne.
We have a nomination for Suzanne. Are there any other nominations? Hearing no other nominations, we'll close nominations. All those in favor of Suzanne Delois serving another 1-year term as Town Newsletter Editor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? And you've reappointed Suzanne as Town Newsletter Editor. Next up, Inspector of Lumber, Shingles, and Wood. This is a 1-year term. Charlie Hancock, term expiring.
I nominate Charlie.
We have a nomination for Charlie. Are there any other nominations? Hearing no other nominations, we'll close nominations. All those in favor of Charlie Hancock serving a 1-year term as Inspector of Lumber, Shingles, and Wood, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? You've reappointed Charlie. Next up is Tree Warden. This is a 1-year term. Charlie Hancock, term expiring.
Nominate Charlie.
We have a nomination for Charlie Hancock.
I think he's qualified.
Are there any other nominations? Hearing no other nominations, we'll close nominations. All those in favor of Charlie Hancock serving a 1-year term as Tree Warden, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you for your confidence. Next up and lastly, we have the all-important weigher of coal. This is a 1-year term. Emily Kimball, term expiring. Emily has expressed interest in continuing in this all-important role.
Oh, she has, okay.
Devastating.
So, we'll
Okay,
open
then.
Took it away
nominations for
from
weigher of coal.
Emily Kimball.
We have a nomination for Emily Kimball. Are there any other nominations?
Can we clarify what the role is of the weigher of coal?
The weigher of coal
I used to.
weighs coal.
Yep.
If there's a question about the weight of coal, the weigher of coal goes and establishes the weight of the coal.
Does the town have the equipment to weigh coal?
Yep. I
I don't know where it is.
when I lived on West Hill with Tim Malloy, we used the weigher of coal because we used coal, and of course he disagreed with everything. So it was Barry Cade at the time, and he
Weigh
came
coal.
and he weighed the damn coal.
Yep.
And there was
amazing.
mechanism. The town had a truck, I think, that it was a portable scale. Maybe.
Yeah. I don't know if we still have that,
Does anybody even heat with coal?
but we have access to
Yeah?
it.
I'm
We
sure
got
we
more
do.
coal than we paid for, so.
Well, there you go.
Oh, well done. The weigher didn't do
All right,
it.
any other nominations for weigher of coal?
I was willing.
Hearing no other nominations for weigher of coal, we'll close nominations for weigher of coal. All those in favor of Emily Kimball serving as weigher of coal for a 1-year term, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Hi.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? And you have reappointed Emily Kimball as weigher of coal.
That's so funny.
Nobody uses coal anymore, do they?
I don't know, to be
You
honest.
probably coal
Not
stoves
much.
kicking it
I
out.
don't know anyone who
Yeah.
does, but
All
I
right.
don't think so.
If there's no objection, we'll move on to item 5, Public Works. First item here, probably shouldn't say board action because there's no action to be taken tonight. This was more just a discussion point. So tomorrow, Mark and Scott and I are gonna sit down with the road crew and start to sketch out a work plan for 2025. So this is kind of following on some of the strategic.
2026.
2026? No, 25.
Oh, this is 26.
Oh,
that says 27.
I'm sorry, that should say 2025.
Okay, I fixed
Yeah.
it.
Summer.
So this is essentially, the goal here is to put together a plan which is totally subject to change, but the idea is to get as much information that we have now out to the public around what culverts are gonna be replaced, what paving is gonna happen, where priority for ditching is gonna be, any other special projects, and just try to map out, coming late spring, summer, into early fall, what the punch list is, so that folks in town know what work might be planned for their road and what the expectation is. We all know that we make plans and God laughs, so this is all subject to change. But the hope is that we can proactively get information out there so that folks know, again, what specific projects are planned, where the focus of certain activities are gonna be, and hopefully a preliminary kind of timeline in terms of when we're gonna be looking at doing this work over the next 6+ months. So again, we're gonna sit down tomorrow, try to sketch that out, and then we'll get that on the website for comment and feedback as soon as it's ready.
Mhm.
So, any questions from anybody? I'm sure, yeah.
Mark, told you 58 was breaking apart. It's breaking apart. Going up Hazen's Notch, the pavement is actually caving in.
Yeah.
And then, just let you know again,
Yeah.
'cause I walk my dog up that road, and then down on the other side, with all the rain we've had, it's gonna get worse.
Okay,
So, just to put that on your little plan thing, whatever,
okay,
I
yeah,
mean, I told you all the time last year, they worked on it once,
yeah,
but all the money you spent paving that road, it's gonna go, with all the water getting up underneath there, the pavement's gonna cave in.
yeah,
It's just my worry, cause if somebody
Yeah.
comes down along by my house, go on the side,
Yeah.
they're gonna be dug right in
yeah,
it's a safety issue too, so.
yeah. Yeah.
And so I had to bring that up, so if you're
Okay.
planning tomorrow, that could be on one of your plans.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, thanks, Teresa.
All right, thank you. So again, we'll get that sketched out and get the preliminary plan up as soon as possible so folks can see it, comment, ask questions, kick the tires on it. Next up is the TA 60 annual financial highway budget. This is the annual budget we file after town meeting with the state, which shows our highway budget, and it also affirms that we have the funds raised by taxes in the sum of at least $300 per mile for each class 1, 2, and 3 town highway.
So this pretty much calculates what we get from state aid for the roads we have. And then I've got the Polar Bridge paving grant on here too. that
Yep.
We're gonna be getting, so this should be all set.
Yep, so it looks like our total income, so this is, total income based on state payments is around $673,000.
Well, that includes our town tax funds.
And taxes, that's right, sorry. Yeah,
Yeah,
almost 580,000.
so just out of state aid is about 90,000.
I'm sorry, yeah, so the state aid is about 90, town funds is about 581.
Yeah,
And then the,
this is what it is.
the expenses column, winter maintenance, non-winter maintenance, and then again, the only major construction project this year is gonna be Fuller Bridge paving. That was something we had talked about doing last year. Last year, they went in and they swapped all the culverts out to let things settle, and so this year we'll go back and repave it. That is being done with a grant that has a 20% match, I believe,
Yeah.
and we've budgeted the match into the budget, so that's all taken care of.
I
The
I
funds
signed the
for-
contract for that the other day.
Yep.
so.
And the funds for this will come out of the reserve fund to cover the balance.
So winter and non-winter maintenance, you usually divide that, 75% is winter maintenance and 25% is non-winter maintenance.
Non-winter, yep. Any questions from Mark on the annual financial plan?
And the difference between the expenses and the income, is that something that the state bridges, or is that coming from the reserve fund?
So the grant is the big part of that, the
Yeah.
173,000?
Yeah, these two would come to that,
Okay, gotcha.
so, then that grant.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but always a good question,
Yeah.
when income and expenses don't jive, right? Like,
yeah, but
What's-
these
what's
two
going
would
on
come
there?
up to that,
And then that's
and
the
then the
perfect.
grant is the old,
Yep.
the old bridge. Yeah.
you good?
I did not write it all down.
That's fine. We don't need to write, I'm asking, or do you have any questions?
Oh, no.
No. Okay, if there's no questions for Mark, then a motion to adopt the TA 60 annual financial highway budget would be in order. Is there a motion?
Motion to adopt it.
Great, we have a motion from Dan, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thanks, Leanne. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of adopting the annual financial plan for town highways, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries, we've adopted the highway, annual highway financial plan. That takes us to item C, project updates. So 2 updates on the municipal wastewater project. One is that the latest monkey wrench that's been kind of thrown our way is that the indirect discharge program, which is the part of Water Investment Division, DEC, which gives us the actual permit to construct and operate this system. There is a process through which they have to approve variances to their standards. These are not variances to our zoning bylaws, but they act a lot like variances in zoning bylaws. So for example, we have setback requirements in zoning. If you're doing something and you can't meet the setback requirements, the Development Review Board can give you a variance. So in this situation, the IDR program has a whole set of conditions whereby infrastructure has to be a certain distance from a boundary line, it has to be a certain distance from a building, a certain distance from XYZ. We were operating under the assumption that they could offer us a blanket variance for the project, acknowledging that one of the points of this is to address the fact that we're operating on teeny tiny parcels where replacement systems can't fit, or at least not without being highly engineered. So we're already working in confined spaces. We're also trying to set the infrastructure as close as we can to property lines to minimize the impact on usable space within a given property. So for example, if we can put the pipe near the boundary line, it will allow them to put in a swimming pool. If we put the pipe through the middle of the property, they can't put a swimming pool in, as an example of kind of what we're trying to do. We found out a week and a half ago that the state is asking us to document every single instance of a variance that's needed as part of the project, which would essentially be 600 variances, if I had to guess, because each property probably has 2 to 3, given the size of the property and everything. So we sent a proposal to the Water Investment Division at DEC last week. We have a call scheduled with them tomorrow to see if they will accept our proposal, which essentially is a process whereby we would map all variances as they were being constructed and approved essentially in real time. So rather than having to pause now, invest another God knows how many $100,000 going back through the engineering plans to do all this to then get the IDR permit, we're trying to essentially have them work with us to do it differently. It seems like this is something that's going to come up more and more within the IDR program of more and more village wastewater systems, given just where they're operating and the infrastructure they're using. So we're kind of hoping this is a little bit of a turning of the wheel in terms of how they think about this stuff at the program and not specifically just around what we're doing. So tomorrow there's a conversation with them about that. Hopefully they approve and accept what we're putting forward. Otherwise it's going to mean potentially another at least a couple weeks of work, and I don't even want to know how much money to go back through the engineering plans and pull out every single instance of a variance. So that's the latest kind of, snafu that we're dealing with there as far as finally getting this thing sealed to go to bid, but it is what it is. And then lastly, just kind of by point of information, so we're now at a point in the legislative session, if folks have heard of crossover, it's when bills have to go from one house to the other if they're going to make it through to the end of the session. And there have been proposed changes to the local option tax formula. If people remember in past discussions, the state keeps about 33% of the money that municipalities currently raise. There is a proposal in H 397, which would amend that to an 80-20 split. And essentially it's in House Ways and Means, all committees have signed onto it. And so the expectation is that that's a must-pass bill this session.
What did you say the percentage was?
80-20. So just as a point of information, as this moves through the legislature, it looks like, knock on wood, that the local option tax formula might get changed and we might end up with 10% more of that revenue remaining in town.
So you're probably taking 20 cents?
They would, yeah, they would
Around
take,
20, yeah.
they would take 20% and leaving us 80.
Because now
Now they're taking 30 and leaving us 70.
yeah.
Those are the only updates on the municipal wastewater project. There's no updates on the streetscape project yet. We're still trying to get concurrence from Army Corps of Engineers on the wetland issue / drainage ditch. So no updates there. Public Works, any general updates, Mark?
I'm just checking the roads, per much season. Things are holding up well so far. But things haven't thawed out too much yet. But
Yep.
as long as the weather keeps staying not too much rain and dry, we should be all right.
Yep.
Yeah, not too bad today. Went around, they were pretty good.
Yeah.
So yeah, keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah, keep your fingers crossed,
Yeah.
knock on wood.
I mean, a lot of the spots where we did ditching and culverts, they're holding up well. So
Yep.
that's good.
Anything else under Public Works anybody has for this evening before we move to visitors? All right, let's go to visitors, and we will start in the room. Tosca, you were here first, I think. Anything for visitors?
Am I on this agenda?
Yep.
Further on down?
Yep.
I'll just hold off until that point.
Okay,
Actually, I have nothing.
okay.
I've already said what I've had to say.
Roberta?
I just, couple things, maybe a few things. You alluded, and I was gonna bring it up, the Public Works, I think you call it punch list.
Yep.
Like you were gonna start a list, and I know we talked about it last year. Is that also going to include like regular maintenance? Cause a lot of the stuff you talked about are big projects or whatever, but like
Yeah.
lawn mowing and ditching clean, using the chipper we bought to get all the trees out of the ditches. Okay, so just wanna make sure.
Yeah,
that
we're gonna
was
try
on
to
the
include
list.
that. Yeah, we'll try to include that
Yep.
with it. Yeah.
The other thing, I noticed that the road crew is working a lot on the weekends, and I didn't know, except for this last weekend, cause it was really nice out, but the weekend before, they were working on a Sunday, and there was nothing happening, so I didn't know why they were, and it has happened several weekends, cause I drive by and all three, everybody's vehicles.
It's been snowing every weekend, Berta. They were
Well,
out
not
working.
enough where you need to, I don't think there hasn't been a lot of snow on some weekends where you needed to have everybody out. It seems like every weekend, except for last weekend, they've been working. So I'm just wondering, I mean, that's a lot of money going out, and is every guy called in, you know, if the job's only, you know, somebody plowing all the roads once?
Yeah.
Are we paying them a minimum of 4 hours when they do come in? Every guy that comes in, and do we need to do that every time? I just feel like it's a lot of weekends.
Yep, we can certainly talk with them tomorrow about kind of how they're managing their time and making sure that, right, I think to
Yeah.
your main point is that, like, we wanna make sure we're not paying more overtime than we need to, which
Right.
100%, so, yeah.
I just
we can-
feel like there wasn't even an inch of snow on it the Sunday before, and I'm like, why are they all working today?
4:30 in the morning, every weekend,
Yeah,
every day, 4:30, then at 7 o'clock, and then 8 o'clock. I can tell you every time they go up by my house.
yeah,
Okay, well, we can certainly
Yeah.
talk to them and make sure that, you know, I mean, typically with that kind of stuff, we do put confidence in Scott that if he calls the crew out to do something, it's for a good reason. But we can certainly talk to them about how they're managing their time. We can try to pull some numbers about where we're at with things and just to make sure we're all clear on budgets.
I just feel
Yeah.
like it's an excessive amount. I mean, I wouldn't have said anything, but it's to
I mean,
me,
they,
it's
they,
excessive.
don't- they don't wanna work every weekend, they've been out because of the snow.
Okay, but we can certainly bring it up with them.
Yeah.
And again, just make sure that we're all clear on expectations and, yeah.
Now, is it a minimum, if they go in, do they get paid for 4 hours or just the time they work?
The time they work, so.
They get time and a half?
A lot of times they go in and then they'll be done at 8 o'clock or something, you know. I mean,
Yeah, it's based on when they punch in and when they punch
Yeah.
out, so it's whatever that
Yeah.
time is, it's to the minute.
Yeah. I mean, we could not have them come in the weekends and then not have safety on the road, so I mean, that's the other option.
Well,
you know.
like I said, we'll chat with them, we'll
Yeah,
make sure that
yeah.
we're all on the same page, and again, you know, we try to put, you
I
know,
don't think they're trying to put in more overtime.
confidence in
than they
folks,
have
but it's always good to check.
Well, I mean, I guess I could just call when I say, okay, why are they out today? If there's like, is there emergency out on the road that I don't know
to. So you're an
about?
expert on the roads now?
No, I'm not an expert,
Okay,
but I know a lot.
Yeah.
And I know people I can talk
Yeah.
to, so
okay.
I'm just asking questions. Mike.
Yeah,
Well, we'll
Yeah.
talk, we'll talk to them, I think it's, no,
Yeah.
it's
No, we'll talk to
a
them.
good thing to bring up with them, you know, every now and again, and, making sure that everybody's clear about how to be as efficient as possible and how to use the town's money wisely, right? Because, we don't wanna be paying overtime if we don't have to,
yeah.
so.
I think that's it. There probably was something else, but I can't.
Okay, if you think of it again, just circle back. Amy?
Thank you. I've been doing a lot of research with state statutes and zoning bylaws. And it brought me back to that property at 686 Deep Eagle. Their zoning application was denied on May 30th of 2024. And I asked Ellen about the property because they had a development review board hearing on October 24th, 2024. And I stopped in and I seen Liz today and I asked if there was any other correspondence and she did give me this email, I guess. It's dated June 27th, 2024. Now my problem is that the applicants have, by state statute and by Montgomery zoning bylaws, have 15 days to appeal it.
Can we just be clear, this is 686
Deep
Deep Eagle,
Eagle
this is
Road.
Bushy, Randall, and Randall
So
Bushy.
Randall Bushy and
Kelly
Kelly
Promise.
Promise, it's parcel ID number
Yep.
30.011X.
Okay,
And and that property also being the 1.91 acre lot, no one has lived on that property for 8 years. In the nonconformities zoning laws in Montgomery, the section 6.6. A non-conforming use shall not be reestablished after being discontinued for a period of 1 year. Now, this is 8 years. Mark knows that property's been vacant for that long. And there's the very people that are supposed to protect our zoning laws are violating them.
How so? I don't follow the.
Because they have 15 days the applicants have 15 days to appeal the zoning administrator's decision by Vermont state statute and by the town of Montgomery zoning laws. And they didn't, and the reason for the denial is written on the bottom of the zoning application. Now, they had the hearing, the email that Ellen gave me was in September, that she discussed it with them about an appeal, and she set it up for October 24th, 2024. Also, and the Vermont state statute says upon the failure of any interested person to appeal to an appropriate municipal panel under section 4465, forever can never appeal the process. This is very concerning. This is a legal matter. I've talked to some people at the state. They told me to come to you first.
So can I just clarify? So what you're saying that the landowners filed a permit application with the zoning administrator. The zoning administrator denied the application.
Yes, she received it on April 29th and denied it on May 30th.
Okay, and so then starting on May 30th, the applicant then has 15 days to appeal it.
By state statute and by Montgomery zoning bylaws.
Okay, did the applicant appeal it?
No, not in those 15 days.
Okay, so then, sounds like.
And that's it.
Yeah.
They have no right to appeal.
Okay, so what's the?
The problem is they were approved for a building permit on that lot on October 24th, 2024.
I thought you said that the application was denied.
It was denied by the zoning administrator.
Yeah.
And then
The DRB approved it?
in October 2024. That's 5 months later for a hearing.
Okay, so the DRB then approved the building permit.
But they had 15 days to appeal. The automatic procedure would have been to deny them to have the hearing because they didn't appeal it within 15 days.
But it sounds like they had a hearing.
They did,
Okay.
But you're saying they shouldn't have,
Right. Oh, you're saying they should.
Yeah.
So,
because the appeal period was.
but
they from May 30th, they had 15 days.
so then what triggered the hearing at the DRB?
Your zoning administrator, and that's not appropriate. It's,
Yeah, I guess I don't know enough to comment. But
well,
we
I've done a
can-
lot of research, and this is my email to you. I'm sending it tonight. This was what Liz gave me today, and even then, it's June 27th. They still don't qualify for the 15-day hearing,
15-day appeal.
or 15-day appeal.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we can certainly,
Look into it.
we can certainly look into this and try to figure out what happened and why.
This is the, email to them for the,
So they know.
the hearing.
Okay,
And
I mean,
and then this is the one that Liz gave me today, and this is June 27th, so it's still past the,
okay. Well, yeah, we can try to find out what happened here, and how it went from the ZA denial to the DRB. So we'll try to put the pieces together and figure out what
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
because right here, 4465, appeals
Yeah.
of decisions of the administrative officer.
Yeah.
This notice of appeal must be filed within 15 days following the date of that decision or act.
Okay. Yeah, well, we'll try to figure out, like, what happened here and
And a copy
why.
of the notice of appeal shall be filed with the administrative officer.
Okay,
And then 4471, I believe it's 4471. State statutes. So, no, it's not 4471 is appeal and decision of the DRB, and that's 30 days. And that would have been 30 days from 10/24, but they should have never had the hearing.
yeah, so we'll try to figure out what happened. It seems like the first question is, if the zoning administrator denied it, how did the DRB hearing get triggered?
Right,
So we'll-
4472 is the one that, after 15 days,
Yeah,
and,
okay, well, yeah, Amy,
Right.
we're happy to look into it and kind of make sure everything went, was
well,
above
I have
board.
all my information, like I say, I've been in contact with some people at the state.
Yep.
And, just to let you know,
Yep,
that was the high priority issue. I have a lot of others, but I'm gonna approach them one at a time with you guys.
okay, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Amy.
Should,
Good?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Going to the Zoom, Gabby, do you have anything for visitors tonight?
Oh, I didn't see him. Is there anyone
No,
who's on
Nope,
this?
I'm just listening, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Merle was there, but Merle is no longer,
I got no.
he's no longer with us. He's no longer on the Zoom. Okay, that takes us to new business. I'm sorry, old business. So the hazard mitigation plan, this was just a spot to convey what was discussed at the meeting earlier tonight. That meeting kind of didn't happen because I think there was some wires crossed with Sean about what was going on. So
Yeah, I didn't know.
so we're gonna push that probably till before the next select board meeting,
Okay.
so the first Monday in April. So we'll just carry forward the hazard mitigation plan update. I will say that the survey is still live on the website. We talked about this at town meeting. Folks are encouraged to fill out the survey on the municipal website, which is intended to highlight what hazards exist from the town perspective, so we can make sure that we get feedback on incorporating what needs to be incorporated. So folks are encouraged to fill that survey out, or let other folks know, or encourage folks to do that. If there's nothing else under old business, we can go to new business. First item here is the town hall committee and some building repairs. Tosca, got the floor.
whoa, staircase? So, we have done, we've had carpenters come out. We have some repairs that are safety issues at the Grange Hall. And the committee believes strongly that we didn't sign up to fundraise for existing issues that are safety related.
Yeah.
And partly due to ice fall, but both back staircases are completely, the one on the left side, broken stairs, a lot of repair, and the right. Both wooden staircases need significant structural repair.
Yep.
The other main concern is the front railway, which is falling out and is a lawsuit waiting to happen. It also is absolutely out of code and that it needs that center post down the middle. The span is way too large. So we are asking the select board to take $15,000 out of the capital improvement fund, which has $197,000 in it, and maybe you've earmarked it for something else, but it has been 15 plus years since any significant money has been spent on that building. We are happy to fundraise for the plumbing. We are fundraising for the painting inside. We are fundraising for any vanity projects, some signage. We are fundraising to get plexiglass to cover the windows in the winter, because part of this committee was formed to keep the building year round. We are happy to fundraise. I put $5,000 in the bank today from fundraising. We are doing our part, but these three issues are safety. And technically, as a committee, we can shut the building down tomorrow because literally the exits, two big boys in a band on that back staircase, somebody's going in the river. And we do have bands coming in the next 2 weeks. So I have an estimate for $6,000 for the work on both the staircases. They would also, we added a few extra things in there, the door, some small stuff, like the spindles on the ramp that go to the building, and we need a gasket on the side doors, it's not closing properly. There's 5 busted windows that this would cover as well that are gonna be replaced. But the main part of it is the 2 staircases. They would rebuild, there's a new support beam that needs to go in on the parking lot side, it's cracked, super dangerous.
Okay.
So we're hoping and the other reason we're saying we really need to pull the plug on these now. The price of lumber could increase in the next 3 months, and the staircase out front, same thing. We're dealing with some materials that may or may not drastically go up. So I have the people that can start this work now. We're happy to borrow 15 from the capital improvement fund if you'd rather do it that way and try to pay it back, or grant it out. So I am writing a grant that can retroactively cover some of this, and I'm happy to throw all that money back into the capital improvement, but right now we just want to get the work done for safety and affordability is basically the main thing. So the railing is $9,500, and that included a 25% increase in materials. If that's not the case, it would drop back down to $8,500. And then the staircase, so we're at about $14,500.
Okay.
So we'd like to get approval for 15 if we can.
Do you have written estimates for us?
I will have.
Okay.
I just want to throw it up the flagpole because we do feel as a committee that it shouldn't be on us to work our butts off to fundraise for structural issues that existed. And we are getting estimates on ice guards, big ones over those staircases for next winter, and on the left side. And I think it ripped out our communication wire.
Oh, that might be why the internet's not working anymore.
Because there's a black wire that's been pulled off the back corner there. Sorry, where the box is. So we need to. I just noticed that today. But literally, the back door in the kitchen got busted open from ice. And so now
Are you gonna throw bids out there, have people bid on it?
we've got 2 bids on both of those projects. We have 2 bids.
Okay.
So we, at the next meeting we have, or we might have an emergency meeting when they all come in. I just got a phone call bid, I said they didn't have it ready, just give me what your final number is.
Yeah.
So, and right now, I said 15 grand is what we're looking to either borrow or use from that. And that would be a cap, no matter where the bids come in. We're like, all right, we think the projects will be there, but like I said, we're still fundraising like crazy, so it's not.
So I think tonight we can, as a board, we can discuss kind of where our gut is on this and what we want to do. 2 process things. One, as it came up, is the purchasing policy. So that's something we want to make sure.
Yeah.
We're essentially saying we trust you to use the purchasing policy. defined to do this, which sounds like you're doing, you're getting bids on stuff.
Yeah.
So,
We have the bids
yeah.
on the railings,
and then, so
then-
then beyond that, all we would need is just the written,
the actual
the
bids, yeah.
actual,
Yeah.
whatever you wanna put forward to do, and then the board can act on it.
Okay.
But without having something in writing on these,
I just want to
Yeah.
get I wanna know if
Yeah, I
you
agree.
agree in principle that the money is
Yeah.
there to do the work from the capital improvement fund.
I agree.
Because if you don't agree with that, then I have to really get fast tracking on
Yep.
grant money, and I just don't, it's a time thing, and it's a May deadline, so the grant I'm looking at is May.
Yep.
And we're feeling pretty pinched to get these things fixed,
yeah,
because they're dangerous.
oh yeah, yeah, you
So,
don't wanna
I
have them
mean,
for
it's
safety.
not a
fire.
question, you know, it's the lawsuit's gonna come to the town when somebody falls in the river.
Yep.
Because the railing is
Or
completely
fall down the
broken.
stairs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's my concern. Sorry, anyway,
yeah.
As a quick aside, have you looked into the Better Places grant at the state?
yeah,
They're not
we've
doing
got,
it anymore.
Oh, really?
No.
yeah, the funding is disappearing in places. We had a council on rural development guy come to the comedy dinner, and
Okay.
that's who we'd be working with. But he's trying to push us back toward that community grant where you have to have another 501c3 formed, and it's the one
No, that's
where,
more of like the preservation trust stuff.
yeah, it's kind of the one where the community foundation grants are, and he loved what we were doing, he has, oh, we have all kinds of money for you, so I'm trying to work with him to figure out what program we could apply for.
Who was
because,
it that came from,
I might have his card, Abe,
I'm just curious.
Chuck, I don't know, Abe sent me his info.
Okay,
He lives in Irishburg, if that makes
Okay.
sense.
yeah,
Yeah. Charlie, can I add one more thing to my, statement?
yeah, can you, one
Yeah,
sec?
yeah.
So it sounds like the consensus from the board is that using the building capital improvement fund to cover needed safety concerns of the building is an appropriate use of funds.
Yeah.
So
I'll get you
so you have
on
a
estimates.
tacit green light, just come back with the written stuff, we can execute it. formally.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and I mean, at this point, we kind of know which direction we're going as far
Yep.
as, I mean, we're accepting the lowest bids, I think is our policy. And lowest, but also the ones that can do it right away.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, alright, cool, I'll bring everything back to you, and I will get the last written bid, I'm just, that I have 3 of the 4, so,
Okay.
Great, thanks, Elsa.
you're welcome.
Amy, last word on
So what I wanted to add is that, before the, zoning application was even submitted, about a month or 2 prior, I stepped down, I gave Liz a, manila envelope with a lot of information about, you know, what was going on there. And she gave it to Ellen, and I asked her today if she couldn't find it. So there was a lot of information that Ellen had that, you know, that was submitted that they have somewhere. So, and that was before, you know, all this zoning and statute stuff that happened.
Okay, we'll follow up with Ellen and then with Parma to kind of figure out the chain of events and figure out whether something went wrong, and we'll see what we can find out.
Yeah, because, it's not a good situation right now.
Yep, gotcha. So we'll figure out kind of what happened, and then we'll bring it back.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
When are you gonna have the tax sale on your old taxes that are?
Yeah, that's up to Kat. So she's working through it now. We don't have a
I
date
think
yet.
there's like 4.
I'm not sure. I know there was like 4 or 5 that she had been discussing, but I don't know what her final plans are there. But I can certainly ask her. All right, so that takes us through 8A, 8B, we're tabling, 8C, there's no liquor and tobacco licenses. We do have a lot of fleet permits, because it's fleet permit season.
Oh, yeah.
So, Mark, do you wanna give these a quick perusal? We can approve these as a slate, So tonight we have GW Tatro Construction, On-Site Septic Solutions LLC, Working Dog Septic Inc., Chevalier Drilling, Dead River, DBA Bourne's Energy, SD Ireland, VT Outdoor Services. I think it's Wind River Environmental, not Winder River.
Yeah.
It's wind.
Hike Industries and NA Menage. So we've got 10 permits. So again, we can handle them as a slate, but want to give Mark as road commissioner first pass.
Dead River, huh? Do we have, can I start signing
Yeah.
right now? 'Cause I gotta run out the door.
Yeah. So at the end of the meeting, these are pay orders, basically. So at the end of every meeting, we go through, review and sign pay orders.
Okay.
Most of it's usually straightforward. If there's ever anything that shows up that's like a,
Sylvester's mark?
if there's anything that shows up that's like a, what? Or like, that doesn't look right.
I think these are expenses that the town.
Yep, this is authorization for Aaron to pay the
It's the
invoices.
same as the library.
Yeah, so same thing. If anything does feel weird or look weird, flag it, initial it. We can always hold it with Aaron until we get clarification.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve the overweight truck permits, fleet permits for GW Tatro Construction, On-Site Septic Solutions LLC, Working Dog Septic Incorporated, Chevalier Drilling, Dead River doing business as Bourne's Energy, SD Ireland, Vermont Outdoor Services, Wind River Environmental, Pike Industries, and NA Menage Incorporated.
Great. We have a motion from Mark to approve the fleet permits in the slate presented. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Leanne. Is there any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of approving the fleet permits in the slate presented, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries and we've approved the fleet permits. That brings us through our agenda.
We posted the roads the other day, so,
Yeah, we saw that go up.
yeah.
If there's no other business to be conducted tonight, then a motion to adjourn would be in order.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion from Mark. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Dan. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of adjournment, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries and we stand in adjournment at 7:55 PM.